Welcome to All Eyes on Cleveland. I'm your host, Brad Ward. This is the Browns Do or Die Christmas Day edition. Lots of joy in that title right there on Christmas. Do or Die Christmas, and that's how it's going down for the Brownies this year. We're going to talk about it with special guest, friend of the show, the great Nate Ulrich of the Akron Beacon Journal. Follow him on Twitter at by Nate Ulrich. On Twitter, as I said just a second ago. How we doing, Nate?
Good, Brad. How's it going?
I'm good, sir. I'm good. So, we were kind of talking off air. I think we thought this was going to get better, or at least it felt like it. I kind of feared that it wouldn't get better after, the Raiders game, which I'm going to ask you one question pertaining to that game, and then we'll move on from it, because it's just kind of gut-wrenching. But things are still a mess with the Browns. It's very unknown. We don't know. We know who's gonna be back, but how much can they play? All of these things are kind of in flux, right? Still, the unknown is the only thing we know is that things are gonna change, right?
Yes, absolutely. This is not a one-game deal. This COVID-19 outbreak obviously affected the Browns greatly in the 16-14 loss to the Raiders on Monday night. But guess what? It's spilling over into the Christmas Day game against the Packers. Brad, they have 19 guys on the COVID-19 list, between active roster, injured reserve, that's only one guy, Drew Forbes, and then practice squad. So 19 guys unavailable, still one coach unavailable. They got two of the three coaches back. Kevin Stefanski being the headliner, obviously, as the head coach.
Yeah.
But they're greatly affected by this. We're talking about 20 members of the Browns unavailable right now, players and one coach.
Remarkable. And today, the one that I find the most jarring is J.C. Tretter, right? Like, this is a guy who's not missed a snap as a Cleveland Brown. I mean, he has been the guy there every week, week in, week out, since he's been here, playing injured, no matter what, always there to call the protections. Now they got to go to Nick Harris, Lambeau Field on Christmas Day. Thoughts on Nick Harris filling in for J.C. Tretter? I mean, can he do it? I mean, will he get support from both sides? I mean, how are they going to do this?
Can he do it? Well, he can't do it as well as JC.
Right.
JC's really good. And I don't think enough people appreciate how good JC is. I don't think he necessarily has gotten the recognition that he deserves. I think he's a Pro Bowl caliber center.
Yeah.
Some seasons better than others, but he's always there, like you said. I mean, he made playing through a high ankle sprain look easy, and we know it's not. I mean, look what Jedrick Wills went through early this season.
Seriously.
So J.C. Tretter's a really good player. Nick Harris, totally unproven. And, when he got in there last season at times and some spot duty as a backup, it wasn't always pretty. That was his rookie season. You'd like to think he got better, especially with the coaching of Bill Callahan. But I think there will be a drop off because of what I think about JC. And you got a guy, Nick Harris, 5th round pick, trying to prove that he really belongs. So we'll see. I mean, the Packers have a Pro Bowl defensive tackle.
Yeah.
And the good thing for Nick Harris, of course, is kind of what you just alluded to. You do have two guards who are among the best in the league, maybe the best 2, 3. I mean, you got Zach Martin and Dallas is gonna wreck that argument that Joel Bitonio and Wyatt Teller are 1-2, but they're there. They're top 5 guards, and so you got help from Nick Harris that way. But
yeah,
it's a tall order, man. I mean, there's no really good positive spin on J.C. Tretter being out.
No.
It's one of your best players.
Yeah, he is, and very overlooked because he is there every week. He's just kind of taken for granted of what he does on this team, and then now you try to, fill his absence, and that's going to be really critical for them. I think a tough hurdle to overcome, and one kind of we thought we were kind of through this, and then you get to one of the most worst names you could get thrown on that list today, and it happens to complicate things even more as you head into this game. So, real quickly, I want to go back to the Raiders game just for a moment with you. A lot of people have talked about the way this game was managed. Nick Mullins, in the second half, did a great job, managing the game. He got aggressive. He made some good throws, converted on some huge third downs, which the Browns haven't done a lot this year, in a fourth down, obviously, to get the lead in this game. Greedy gets the interception. 3rd and 3, everybody's talking about the 3rd and 3. You give it to Nick Chubb. Do you pass? Do you have any issue with what they did or how they handled situationally the end of the game? I was at home kind of going, and it's like I can't really fault this, Nate. It's hard to fault them for giving the ball to Nick Chubb in that situation because the clock runs everything. But I think they kind of took for granted maybe that. I think they thought that the clock was more of a factor than it was. If you realize that a field goal wins the game and there's 2 minutes, if you throw in that situation, that time is not really going to matter. Time wasn't an issue in the end, really. I kind of wish they would have thrown the ball, and I was thinking that in the moment, so it's not like I was going, everybody in this place thinks you're going to run the ball right now. Their only chance to stop you is to load up in the box and play the run. Just run a play action pass and throw it to the tight end. Get first down. Be aggressive. Don't give the ball back. Now, that's easy to say with the outcome, right? Yeah. I understand why they did it. Did you have any issue with that call at all?
The only issue I have with it is, I think, the main issue, and it's the predictability.
Yes.
The Raiders were convinced that they were going to run the ball.
Yes. Yeah.
And they did. Max Crosby said afterward, we knew they were going to run the ball. I was thinking Nick Mullins can move a little bit. I like the way he was creating there. Obviously, he did it on the Harrison Bryant touchdown. I was thinking play action rollout, what the staple of this system, of this system that Kyle Shanahan runs in San Francisco when Nick Mullins was there, the familiarity there, the comfort level there is a big factor for Nick Mullins. In that spot, do that.
Yeah.
Do that. That's what I was thinking. So, but as easy it is to be critical, like you said, Brad, because we know the outcome and hindsight is what it is. I also do just at a baseline level, get the ball in the hands of your best player. And
right, yeah.
On offense, that's Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
So, that's why I don't want to kill him for it.
Right.
Because you did get the ball in the hands of your best player with the game on the line, and we've seen him ice games before. We've seen him be the closer. The flip side is everybody thought that was coming, and that's what happened. And we saw Chubb running hard, and we saw Chubb making plays late in that game, but he wasn't running behind their, offensive line that they're used to having in there. This was a makeshift unit. So
yeah.
I don't know. I would have liked to see Mullins have a chance to create there.
Yeah, I'm with you. I just wanted to see him. I just am going, you can't give the ball back here. You cannot give the ball back here and give him one more chance. They just need a field goal. Your defense already came up huge once with a crazy play by Greedy. You can't give the ball back here. Don't worry about the clock. Just get the first down, But at the same time, if it's the other way around, everybody's going, oh, you got Nick Chubb 3 yards. How did you not give it to him? So you could make either case, and I totally get why they did it. I'm not going to kill him for it. I just kind of wish they would have stayed aggressive,
Yeah, that's right. So you roll out Nick Mullins, and you have tight end crossing. You have somebody, maybe you have Chubb in the flat or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you give him Mullins some options, and he can keep it and run.
Yep.
Or he just totally screws everything up and throws a bad pass. It gets picked. maybe it's an incompletion, and then we're all saying, why did you not give the ball to Nick Chubb? I just think it's such an easy trap to fall into.
Yeah,
With the predictability and seeing what the Raiders said afterward, that just sticks with me, man. So it's like,
it does.
I totally get it. What I did not think in the moment, and I'm wondering what you think about this, I did not think in the moment go for it on fourth down after they did not convert on third, but I have heard some people question.
Yeah,
That would have been a big aggressive call, but
yeah.
do you go
I
for it there to
wonder.
win the game? I did not think that. I thought, what the score is what it was, 14-13. It's not like the Raiders have been lighting it up.
Yeah.
I thought play defense there, but it is an interesting conversation.
Nate, I at the time I was like, oh man, I wish they could go for it here, but you just can't. You're too deep. If you turn it over, you're giving the game to them. And your defense has just came up with a turnover, so you got to give them a chance to come up with the stop. They won last week, stopping the Ravens, right?
Right.
In the same situation, kind of. So kick it away and play D. You give them that chance. Even though I wish they were aggressive on third down, I think you're too deep in your own end to go. I did think though maybe they were thinking when they ran the ball, if we get this close, maybe we go for it on fourth. Like if if he doesn't get stuffed for 0 yards, if he gets to 4th and 1 or 4th and really short, maybe you go for it there.
Yeah. Right. And
Maybe
what I
that was
don't know, I don't have a thorough enough scouting report. Maybe some of your viewers do, or maybe you do. But like, what is Nick Mullins like on a sneak?
yeah, exactly. Right.
So
I have no
if you
idea.
get that
Yeah,
close, is that a different conversation? But
yeah,
yeah, I thought punt, and I still think, and I think you just outlined it really well. But yeah, I mean, on third down, it's
yeah.
like
Get it.
let's
Go
get
get it.
yeah, a little more aggressive is what you would like there, instead of hoping that that's just going to work. And um, yeah, I love Nick Chubb and think so much of him as a player, but everybody knew he was getting the ball, which is the whole issue.
Yeah, it did. It did. You're right. In the comments afterwards, that just stings to hear them talk about it like that. Because you had to think, I mean, if you're the Raiders, right, you're going, okay, they're going to run the ball here. And our only chance is to sell out and hope that they run the ball here. Because if they go play action and they have the gusto to go play action, then they win the game. And that's how I would look at it as a defensive coordinator, because that's your only chance, really, right? Like, and I think if you're the Browns, that's just a game of chess that you lost there, right? You played right into it a little bit. Once again, though, easy to go. Hindsight is 2020, right? But
Mhm.
in the moment, I must admit, I was saying I wanted to see them be aggressive. Nate, let's talk about Baker real quick. So we don't know if he's going to test out tomorrow. It seems like at this point, either way, he's good Saturday, right? Like he can fly. 10 days is up. He can fly separate on Saturday if he doesn't test out tomorrow.
Yeah.
In your opinion, I know Kevin, was asked about it today multiple times, and he basically said, yeah, if he feels good, he basically came around to the point that if he feels good, we're going to play him, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that he still gives them the best chance to win if he feels good, even though he didn't practice at all this week?
Well, he hasn't even practiced since December 10th.
Right. Exactly. So, yeah.
So I think it's a great question. And I
Yeah.
actually asked Kevin Stefanski a couple days ago, what happens if Baker doesn't test out of these protocols early, he takes it all the way to the 10 days, you're not getting him even for a walkthrough until Saturday morning, because that would be the day he comes off after the 10-day quarantine. What do you do? And he
Yeah.
didn't want to, he said, I don't want to speculate. Hopefully he tests out sooner. Well, he hasn't yet. And even if he
No.
does tomorrow, they're done with their full scale practicing. Today was
Yeah.
the last one. So they're just walking through from here on out. I think it's tough, right? Would you rather have a rusty Baker or your third string quarterback? Because right now, Case Keenum doesn't seem to be a factor.
No.
And even if he tests out, again, you're getting
Same
him back
situation.
tomorrow with no practice. So I think you go with Baker. I think Kevin is making the right call because Nick Mullins has one. We talk about Baker not getting into practice since December 10th, but Nick Mullins has one start with these guys, and he's got, let's see, they practiced today, and I think they just walked through. So he got one practice with one reps ahead of the Raiders game, and one practice with one rep since then, which would be today. So he's got two practices with first team reps. There's like no good options here. So
There isn't.
So I think you go, and I mean I think Nick Mullins did a really good job in a very tough spot on Monday night, but I do think you would go with Baker here, and I think it's the logical way to do it, but it's not ideal, and that's what at the top they are very much affected right now, and are going to be very much affected Saturday. No matter who they get back, and we know there's a long list of Jarvis Landry and Jedrick Wills and Baker Mayfield and other guys, Malik McDowell, they will be back. The protocol says they'll be back. But what's it like? They haven't practiced. What's the rust factor? That all that goes into it. Like, I think it's interesting, not to totally get off topic here, but I mean, this is related, but this is not quarterback centric. But like, the idea that Joel Bitonio starts at left tackle for the first time in his career, in his NFL career.
Yeah.
He's the left tackle in Nevada, but first time in his 8 NFL seasons. He played really well.
Yeah.
He played really well. I went back and I watched every snap. Yannick was lining up across from the vast majority of the game. He's getting spelled just a little bit, but it was mostly him and Yannick, and he played really well. And again, he had one practice. James Hudson tested positive on Saturday morning, so Joel got to practice that afternoon as the left tackle. And I thought he played really well. So this isn't exactly the Baker Mayfield, Nick Mullins question, but Jedrick Wills is coming back. We know that he's had ups and downs this season, a lot of downs and a lot of injuries, and now he's coming back, hasn't practiced in a while. Joel Bitonio played really well at left tackle for you. I know he's not a permanent left tackle, but in this spot, when you're permanent left tackle, potentially is that rust factor that we're talking about with Baker, what do you do there at left tackle?
It's a great question.
Yeah, I mean, you slide Jedrick Wills right back in there, or do you give Joel another go at it?
It's a great question because I think it was Dunn, right, that played left guard, and he did a pretty good job over there. So, I mean, not terrible. So you could go that way again. There's so many variables here. I totally agree. You're right. I mean, you have to. It's so hard to account for, what have these guys been doing at home? Have they been asymptomatic? We don't know the details of every single one. I know some of them have had symptoms. Of course, JC, self-reported symptoms today. So some of them have had, So really, all of the effects of if you had COVID, if you didn't have it, were you working out? To what extent? I heard him talking today about how, good Baker is about the, being on the Zoom calls and how involved he is and detail oriented. And that sounds right about Baker, right? And I would agree with you on that too. Like, I think he's making the right call just because if you were playing the Broncos or the Raiders again, I might say you play Nick Mullins, but I think that your only chance to maybe win this game is if Baker Mayfield goes out and gets hot. Like, you kind of have to have that factor in order to win this game, I think. And I don't think Nick Mullins has that club in his bag, right? Like, but I think Baker does, even if he can shake the rust off. And I think you have to take that chance here, right?
Right. You have to play your best game to have a shot at an upset here. So you have to reach your ceiling. That would be the definition of your best game. And you can't reach your ceiling, in my opinion, with Nick Mullins under these circumstances. And Baker gives you a better chance, although it's probably going to be one of those Christmas miracles.
Yeah,
if it actually happens, it's going to be one of those. But I totally agree with you, Brad. I think that's a great way to put it. You have to maximize everything you can do to pull this off. You're playing the best team in the NFL by record, and by a lot of other measures too.
Yeah, no question. You're watching All Eyes on Cleveland. Special guest Nate Ulrich of the Akron Beacon Journal. Just a couple more questions here for you on the matchup, Nate. Uh, Devontae Adams, obviously a menace of a, I think they're missing Valdez Scantling, who's like their two, or Lazard. They're kind of interchangeable, Lazard and Valdez Scantling, right? But Devontae Adams is a beast, and you have a depleted secondary, but you do have Denzel Ward. I know in the past, Joe Woods, coming kind of, I think, stemming from that cover 3 Seattle that they played, where guys stay on their side of the field. He's been kind of tentative to let guys follow people, but in this situation, don't you let Denzel follow him everywhere he goes?
I would love it. I was talking to some of my friends on the beat before the Raiders game, and we were trying to figure out what they're going to do at nickel with Troy Hill down. And one of my buddies, Scott Petrak, said, you should – Renfro's their biggest passing weapon with Darren Waller out. You should put Denzel in the slot. I said, I don't think they're going to do it because that would fundamentally change what you've done with him. You've never done that with him. You've never
Yeah.
I mean, I like the idea of it, but they've never done it. And then that was like – we were actually talking about that when we were at the Baker Mayfield event in Elyria, like before the outbreak.
Yeah.
Before we knew about it. So 2 days later, the outbreak starts, all this stuff, and then they end up on game day with 22 guys on the list. And I'm like, anything goes. Like, put Denzel Ward in the slot. Put Joel Bitonio at left tackle.
Yeah.
Anything should go in it. And so I actually was, under those circumstances, I was a little bit disappointed to not see them try that matchup with Denzel. I know what they did. Right, they had MJ Stewart playing safety and then playing nickel, and then they brought Moffitt in, and so MJ Stewart had this dual role. And it's not like Renfro killed him, but I would have liked to see some creativity like that. So that's a roundabout way of saying, like Adams, as big a threat as he is, like, do something a little bit out of the ordinary that you don't normally do, especially given the circumstances with your roster, and let Denzel follow him and see what happens. Like, if I'm Joe Woods, one thing I can tell myself, if I'm going to make an exception to the rule, is like, these are extraordinary circumstances.
Yes.
If we're going to win, we need our best players to be at their absolute best. We got 5 Pro Bowl players on this roster this year. Maybe more are worthy than that. Like, I like J.C. Treader, for instance, and he doesn't get that recognition. I think he was an alternate this year, though. Anyway, Denzel Ward, like, hey, if we're going to lose, we're going to lose with Denzel Ward on Adams.
Yeah.
And we'll live with that. But at least we're doing what we can to put our best guy on their best guy. I like that idea.
I think so too. And it's just, like you said, it's this circumstance. It's not all the time. You don't have to do this against everyone when people are healthy and you got Troy Hill in the slot. I get that, right? Like, but this time, I don't know if you want to play your best game and give your best chance to win. I don't know if you can live with Devontae Adams, them moving him around, getting him matched up with MJ Stewart, and he toasts him because he's too slow and too short. I mean, can you live with that? Not really. I mean, when your best corner is covering Alan Lazard and he's just running some other route, I can't really live with that. I want my best on their best, especially when it's not like they have any other great wide receivers or their tight end, their good tight end is out. They're depleted outside of Adams in their backfield, right? So give it your best chance with Denzel on him, I think. And you can even help him on third downs and whatever. I would do that too. But at least give your best guy against their best in this situation, I think. Right. We'll see what they do.
Greg Newsome's in 2 protocols.
I know. It's ridiculous.
So, I mean,
it's crazy.
That's a huge part of it because he's had a really good season, but not available. And your primary nickelback and Troy Hill isn't. But think about what they did when they did have those horses, like against the Bengals.
They went straight up man, right?
Chase, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not saying they could do the same exact thing to Adams, but you know, give it a shot. And I like the idea of matching up Ward. I would love to see that.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. Get out of your comfort zone a little bit. Do something different. We'll see what they do. The other thing I was going to ask you about, to me, the one thing that the Browns can do here, and it seems so obvious, but the one thing that the Green Bay does struggle with, I mean, they play the pass really well. They got some good corners. They drafted that kid from Georgia. He's playing outstanding football. They brought in Rasul Douglas. He's playing good football. They have some good corners. They have a good secondary. They're good against the pass, but they have struggled a little bit against the run game, and that's what the Browns do well. So, I found this really intriguing. They play 8+ in the box as little or least. I don't know how to say this. Less than anybody else in the NFL. Pardon me. I couldn't think of the right way to phrase that. But they play 8+ in the box, less than anybody else in the NFL. Do they change? You would think they would change that on Saturday, right?
I would, because that's what defenses have been doing. The blueprint is out, right? You sell out to stop the run against the Browns and make Baker Mayfield in the passing game beat you. And it hasn't happened enough. And I think that, game plan specific, I think you're going to do what you can to give extra help to your run support, because Nick Chubb is Nick Chubb, and if you know he's going to get the ball, then you can stop him on a 3rd and 3 if you sell out to do it. We just saw it, and so I would expect that to be an adjustment they make.
Last question here for you, Nate, and I'll get you out of here as we're coming up on a half hour. Myles Garrett, you asked him a number of questions today about his health, right, at the press conference. It was hard to hear some of his answers. I don't know if you heard. I think you guys were having a hard time hearing him too. I don't know, the connection was bad or whatever. But he was basically like, I don't really care how I feel. I'm gonna play.
Right.
My question to you is that if he goes out there at 60%, say, or whatever, is that still help the Browns because they're gonna double team him no matter what?
It'll still help the Browns because he's their best player, and even if
it doesn't matter if 60%.
Yeah, here's what I would do. Like, if it's a real struggle, put him in on 3rd down.
Yeah.
Just make him a situational pass rusher for this game.
Yeah.
It's not ideal, but part of it too is Clowney's on the COVID list, and Hack McKinley's done for the season.
Yeah.
So, if Joe Jackson and Porter Gustin, good for them to get these opportunities and try to make some plays. But I think you feel a lot better if you could sprinkle some Myles Garrett in there, even if he's not 100%. So
sure.
Yeah, it's been really fun and fascinating to follow his evolution and maturity as a player and leader. And I think this is all part of it.
Yeah.
I really do.
Absolutely.
I think he knows that the only shot they have, it's not just about him. They need a lot of guys to be at their best. But part of the equation is him making some special plays. And, he's not 100%. He didn't practice this week, but he says he expects to play. And last time he didn't practice, and I asked him if he expected to play, he said he fully expected to play, and he did against the Chargers. So I think he'll be out there. Stefanski called him 50-50, but I would rely more on Myles for that information to get a better feel for it. So I don't know, what that looks like for snap counts. He said he didn't know because he wasn't able to practice. So it's going to be
have any idea.
Yeah, it's going to be an in-game experiment. But I do think that he wants to go. He wants to do this. He's never played Aaron Rodgers. They played the Packers in 2017 when he was a rookie. Brett Hundley was playing. Rodgers was out with the broken collarbone. He's recovering from that. Myles has such admiration and respect for the greats in the game, at all positions. And certainly I think that a win would definitely make his Christmas, but on a lesser scale, sacking Aaron Rodgers would would be a nice stocking stuffer for him.
Yeah, he can add him to his list, right? He keeps track of that stuff. As you saw his Halloween, he had every quarterback he ever sacked. So he wants to add Rodgers to that list. Yeah, I just don't know how. With the just knowing how a groin injury is, I just don't know what percentage we're gonna get of him. But you're absolutely right. Anything you get from him, it helps. And like you said, if you can get him on third downs, that's great too. Because you're gonna need. I mean, the combination of the secondary, it's unfortunate that your most healthy area of your defense is your linebackers, because your linebackers is kind of your the weaker part of your defense. So it'll be interesting to see what they draw up and how they try to do this and how they handle the McDowells of the world coming back. These guys coming out of their basement and walking right onto the field in Lambeau Field. It's going to be, it's different. And I don't know what to expect, really. So, should be interesting, though. I hope they can keep it close, and I think it'll take quite the performance from Baker to do that. But, hey, he has those kind of crazy miracle stuff in him sometimes, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lopsided Packers win. Because of everything you said that needs to happen. I totally agree with. Those are kind of long shots for it all to add up. And they could have beaten the Raiders, as shorthanded as they were. The Raiders aren't good.
No.
They're just okay. And the Browns are just okay right now. So the Browns definitely are more talented than just okay, but we know they've underachieved. And, I think that you're going to see a really good team, maybe the best team in the NFL, at home, with everybody at home watching, and I think they're going to take care of business against a team that's really facing an uphill battle with all the circumstances.
Yeah, I'm afraid you're right, Nate. I'm afraid you're right. But hey, I appreciate the time as always. I kept you over a little bit longer than we said. But I appreciate it, though. You're fantastic as always. Nate Ulrich of the Akron Beacon Journal. Go read his column every day. Follow him on Twitter by Nate Ulrich. And thank you so much, Nate. You're fantastic as always.
Hey, thanks for having me, Brad. Take care, man.
All right, you too. Have a great holiday.
You too.
That is Nate Ulrich, and he doesn't get any better than Nate every time as he comes on the show. His insight is fantastic. Good questions from him. Always asks the best questions in the press conferences, as he did today, as usual. Jared, do you guys think if Chubb got to 4th and 1, they would have gone for it? It's a good question, Jared. Me and Jared had a conversation. We kind of battled it out about this on through text message. Jared and I did the other night, hashed it out ourselves, as I think Jared was a proponent of them running with Chubb there, and I don't have a problem with that. Like I said, if it went the other way, everybody would have said, oh, you didn't give the ball to your best player on 3rd and 3. I don't know. It's hard to say. That's kind of what I thought. Maybe that's why they ran the ball there, like thinking, hey, if you can get close, maybe you go for it here with a sneak and impose your will on them to win. But it's just so hard. Like in that situation where you're up by 1 and a field goal gives them the lead and you're in field goal range if you turn it over already, I think it's so hard to go for it on 4th down there. You have to at least give your defense a chance to win the game, especially when they won the game the week before and they just got to stop the last time you're out there with an interception. So probably not. I don't think. I think they probably would have played conservative because that's kind of how they played the whole thing. Do I wish they would have, like I said, I wish they would have just thrown it on 3rd down and been aggressive because, like the Raiders said and everybody else said, everybody thought they were running, and the Raiders were totally selling out on the run. And I think that in that situation, in my opinion, and what I was screaming at home is do the opposite of what everybody thinks you're going to do. I know that takes some guts, but, you've been so predictable, and the Browns are so predictable with their offense at times. Do something different. Do something different. Be aggressive. You got back in this game. You've got a chance to win this game that you really shouldn't have had any shot to win. Don't give it up by being conservative, right? Be aggressive. Go get the win instead of playing not to lose. And the Browns do that oh so often this year. They just can't close teams out. And, the Chargers game, this game, really the Steelers game they should have won. It's just multiple times they haven't been able to close out games that they really have outplayed other teams and should have won. And a lot of that, I think, has to do with predictability and conservative approach to the game. And I just would like to see Stefanski change it up. Alex Van Pelt, change it up. Get aggressive, Hey, at this point, you got nothing to lose. So they should be super aggressive in their approach to this game on Sunday. Speaking of Sunday and the playoff situation, it's that time of the show here on All Eyes on Cleveland where we go to the playoff machine over at the New York Times. Mikey, can you get that up for me, sir? Mikey working on it here for us. Getting the, there it is. Yes, that's what I wanted to see. You see that 100% on there. So, folks, if you're listening on podcast, right now the playoff machine came up at the New York Times, and it says 100% already because I've already been playing with it pre-show, and I want to show I have it here for a reason, and then I'll go back and we'll kind of look at some things. But I wanted to start right here. Mikey, do we have an overlay or something here that we can do different? That doesn't look very good. Okay, we'll roll with this for the moment. Okay, Browns playoff chances. So here we are looking at, once again, the New York Times playoff machine. It does let me make it a little bigger there. It does it about 14,000 simulations every time here. I have gotten to a place where the Browns can lose this weekend against the Packers and still win the division. And what would that take, scenario-wise? Less than you think, I bet. So this would be if the Browns were to beat the Steelers and the Bengals, because they have the chance to beat both of them, really what you need is both the Steelers and the Bengals to lose once and then lose to the Browns. And you need the Ravens to lose twice in their final three. Those games, how it would play out. Bengals and Ravens face this weekend. I have the Packers beating the Browns in this scenario, Week 16. Bengals have to beat the Ravens. Got to root hard for the Bengals in this game. I think that can happen. Chiefs got to beat the Steelers. Chiefs are COVID strucken. They are under the COVID health and NFL health and safety protocols. Heavy, I know they have Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce out for the moment. This game potentially could get moved. I heard some talk of that as the NFL set that precedent already. If they're missing a bunch of players, we'll see. We'll have to keep an eye on that. But right now, a huge competitive advantage to the Steelers. But once again, the Chiefs are hot, and if the Chiefs can win at home against the Steelers, which I think is very viable, should they get their players back or if the game gets moved, they can win. The Bengals can beat the Ravens. The Chiefs then would go to the Bengals. I think that's a very possible outcome. Chiefs, as I told you before, weeks ago, the Chiefs are the Browns' best friends down the stretch here. Chiefs at the Bengals, Rams at the Ravens. So if you get those 1, 2, 3, 4 outcomes right there, the Browns can still win the division by beating just the Steelers and the Bengals down the stretch. You need the Bengals to lose once before they play them. You need the Steelers to lose one other time besides you beating them in a head-to-head. The Steelers will do that, I believe, because Not only do they face, let's see here, the Chiefs, then the Browns, and then in Week 18, the Steelers. Who do the Steelers get in Week 18? The Ravens, right? So the Ravens, Steelers, Week 18. I've got the Ravens losing to the Rams and the Bengals beating the Steelers in Week 18. Very possible as well, but I think that all the Browns need is the Chiefs to beat the Steelers this week, and then that game won't even matter, Ravens, Steelers in Week 18. If you can get the Rams to beat the Ravens, very viable. Chiefs to beat the Bengals, Bengals to beat the Ravens this week, and Chiefs to beat the Steelers. That scenario allows the Browns to get the division title and host a wild card with 9 wins. So, as much as this game looks lopsided in the way of the Packers, and it's going to take a miracle, the Browns could pull it off. Of course, it would be fantastic. But if they were to lose, they're still not out of it. If the Bengals can beat the Ravens, and even if the Chiefs can beat the Steelers this weekend, they would still be in the hunt. And I think both of those lines are going the Bengals' way and the Chiefs' way. So keep an eye on the COVID situation with the Chiefs. Let's reset real quickly to give you an idea where we stand without all of this. I think it's like 22 or 23%. So if we go up here, Browns remaining 3 games. They currently sit at, waiting for it to play out here, 24% chance to make the playoffs, according to the New York Times playoff machine. Wild card, 13%. Pardon me. Host a wild card, 13% chance. Get in the wild card, 6% chance. Make the playoffs, 24% chance. And out, 76% chance, as you can see that there on the screen. Now that's without any of these outcomes being clicked in. Obviously, if the Browns were to win out without any other games, their chances are still going to be... I mean, they still control their own destiny. I mean, let's be real. 98% is where you're at if you win all 3 games. So basically, they control their own destiny still because of the tough schedules and the matchups with the teams in the AFC North. This gives you an 86% chance if you win all 3 to host a wild card game. If you win all 3. That's going to take a miracle this weekend against the Packers, I think. So, if we take that one out and they just beat the Steelers and the Bengals, this is without any other help. We'll see where this gets us. It should give them a reasonable shot because of the schedule. So, 9 wins, 42% chance to make the playoffs, 29% chance to host a wild card. 42% chance to get in the playoffs in general. As I showed you before, you have a number of games that affect the outcome of all of this here. You want the Patriots to beat the Bills. You want the Bengals to beat the Ravens here this upcoming weekend. And you want the Chiefs, of course, to beat the Steelers. In Week 17, rooting for the Chiefs again. As I said all along, you want them to beat the Bengals. You want the Rams to beat the Ravens. Broncos to beat the Chargers would help, but, not as much of an influence. The Browns' best chance of getting in is to win the North. The AFC wild card chances are far and few between. Their best chance is to win the North, period. Jets over the Bills would help. That's a long shot, obviously, in Week 18. Steelers over the Ravens would help because the Browns still have the Steelers on their schedule, obviously, and beat the Ravens once. The Ravens have a worse record so far in the AFC North, so the Browns would have that tiebreaker over them because they split. because of all that and the way that it's played out, I mean, really, the Browns can lose this game and still have a chance at the North, is what I'm getting at, basically. You need some help, but because the Steelers play the Ravens, because the Bengals play the Ravens, because the Ravens play the Rams, because the Chiefs play the Bengals and the Steelers, because of all of those games, you still have a shot. Once again, not getting breaks this week, though, as COVID has hit the Chiefs, who host the Steelers this weekend, and the Browns need that badly to go to the Chiefs. So, all hope is not lost if they lose. Now, say everything went wrong this weekend. Hypothetically, let's just take a look. I haven't done this yet. Say the Ravens beat the Bengals, and the Steelers beat the Chiefs. Percentage would get pretty low, I think. $16, $15, 15% chance at that point. So, if everything went wrong this weekend, you would need, obviously, to beat the Steelers. You would need the Rams to beat the Ravens. And once again, the Chiefs to beat the Bengals. And then, I don't even know if that's possible. So, really, let's see here. The Ravens to beat the Steelers. So that wouldn't even really do it. So you're going to need some help this weekend. If everything goes bad this weekend, they're kind of screwed. But if they get a little bit of help this weekend, they still will mathematically have a chance and still have a decent chance because of the schedule. I'll show that to you one more time here before we get out. All hope is not lost because of this scenario. Rams beat the Ravens. Browns beat the Steelers. Chiefs beat the Bengals in Week 17. Steelers, Ravens won't matter in this scenario, but Browns beat the Bengals in Week 18. And this week, you need the Bengals to beat the Ravens. If the Packers beat the Browns, and the Chiefs to beat the Steelers. So even if the Steelers were to win this week, you still are okay. The one you really need this weekend is the Bengals to beat the Ravens. That's the one you got to get. Otherwise, you're going to be depending on the Steelers to beat the... you need one or the other, right? Or both. Preferably both. But you need one or the other to have a chance. So say the Ravens won and the Chiefs beat the Steelers. So this is splitting it one way. You're going to end up at still over 50% chance, maybe right around 50% chance to get in if you lose. It's finishing up now. It's simulations, 48% chance, so you still have a chance there if the Chiefs beat the Steelers and the Ravens won this weekend, and then vice versa if the Bengals beat the Ravens and somehow the Steelers beat the Chiefs, which is one of two scenarios that you need. Once again, last time I think this came up in the 66, 65, somewhere around there, percent chance. So you need one of these two to stay alive. If you lose to the Packers, you need either the Bengals to win or the Chiefs to win. One of those two keeps you somewhat realistically alive in the division. Both would be fantastic because then you still are really alive and you would have the ability to hope that the Rams beat the Ravens or the Steelers beat the Ravens, one or the other, and you to win out. you would also need the Bengals to lose somewhere else besides against you, which would be against the Chiefs. You see, it's not that far-fetched due to the difficult schedules facing these teams down the stretch. So there you have it. It's not all lost if the Browns lose this weekend. Nate Ulrich, fantastic again, joining me. Keep an eye out tonight here. In a half hour, I will be joining Jake Burns for our weekly joint collaboration with the OBR Film Breakdown. That podcast will be out for the game preview, game day preview that we do every week, so look out for that. And thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting. Hit the like button, hit subscribe. Big thanks to Mikey on the ones and twos. Does a fantastic job, as always, producing the show. And thanks again to Nate Ulrich for taking time to visit with us here on All Eyes on Cleveland. Need that Christmas miracle. Everybody out there that watches, thank you so much. Appreciate everybody's support. Have a great, happy holiday. Enjoy your family. Enjoy everybody, all your loved ones. Hope everybody has a safe holiday and a great one with family and friends. That's happy holidays from Mikey and myself and from everybody here at All Eyes on Cleveland. Have a fantastic one. Hope the Browns can pull off this Christmas miracle. Baker's got to get hot. Find a way to put the team on his back, go get a win. You know, I still think, despite everything that's happened, if he were to somehow find a way to get this team into the playoffs, it forces the front office to look at things differently. He could quiet a lot of people by somehow just summoning some kind of courageous game in Lambeau and then against the Steelers and the Bengals. He always plays well against the Bengals, so they have that. But if he could find a way, it would speak a lot towards the contract that he wants to get. And I think it could turn some heads if he could somehow get over that hump and put the team on his back and guide them to some big wins here down the stretch that somehow got them in the playoffs still with their back against the wall. I think the front office would be forced to kind of look at things differently if he took them to the playoffs 2 years in a row. Kind of a long shot at this point, but not as long as it may seem. As you see, they still have a chance even if they lose this weekend. You just got to get a little help. Just a little help from the Chiefs, from the Bengals. They all play each other down the stretch here. The Chiefs are the Browns' best friend. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays, whatever you celebrate it. Celebrate it great with your family and friends, and be safe out there from everybody at All Eyes on Cleveland. And with that, I hope you enjoyed the show. We are out.
All Eyes on Cleveland. We here, yeah.